Emotional distancing yourself from a partner is something I see in many relationships, and most of the time, it's something temporary that happens. It looks like when you first get together with your partner, the two of you are together and you talk about everything and you're available for each other. But when something happens within the relationship, and this can be going through some kind of a big stressor, financial losses, a sick child, a new child, anything that disrupts the normal course, for some people who are more prone to distancing, it can cause a true emotional distancing. Now, what happens to the person when this is going on is quite interesting, because the person will begin feeling other things too. It's not just feeling more distant from their partner, but they'll also start suffering from low self-esteem. They'll start becoming completely ambivalent, like they can't make up their mind about anything. They exhibit very bad, like, listening skills. They're agitated. They focus on something else rather than truly listening to their partner. They constantly are challenging their intimate partner. It's almost like they're trying to pick a fight. And indeed, that may be a way for them to somehow bridge that emotional distance, but it comes across as being critical to their partner. They have a hard time opening up at all about anything. It's extremely difficult, and many times their partner will think they're lying, but it's just their inability at this time, due to the distance, that they fear. And they experience a lack of verbal, physical, or sexual contact. In other words, sometimes when you take like a sexual break, or your partner's not as active in the bedroom, they'll at least be hugging you or kissing you or coming close to you and holding you. But oftentimes during emotional distancing, especially if it's severe, it can be that they won't do any of those things. So you may ask yourself, what causes it? Like, why does this person do it? Well, the first thing is, if there's prolonged distance with the pandemic and new jobs, just basically one happening here and the other person is in another state, I think it's important to remember that when there's prolonged distance, there can also be a prolonged emotional distancing, because that person flips into a new society. And when you're living apart without your partner, there's all these little nuances that happen between your life and how far away they are, that you no longer share. And emotional distance will set in. Unresolved conflict. Maybe you guys are fighting about something, that happened a long time ago or more recent, or maybe it's something going on in the bedroom or with one of your children, and you just can't, it's just going on and on. I see a lot of this with in-laws, when there's a struggle in one of the partner's families, and the other one wants their partner to make different choices in regard to taking care of this matter, and they don't. A huge conflict and unresolved conflict can occur that will last years, and I've seen it. Or poor sexual communication and contact. If you can't talk to your partner or feel sexual toward them, it makes it extremely difficult to bridge that and to feel close to your partner. There are things that you can do that I think are really helpful. The first thing, if you can get your partner to okay it, you can get a pet. However, it's important you remember that once you get a pet, they take a lot of time, especially if you get a dog or a cat. And so if you're going to do that, remember that it's not going to go away, and you are going to be responsible. I say this because a lot of people, like during chaotic times, will turn to getting a dog, and then they forget all the work that dog is, especially a puppy. So if you're going to do that, make sure you have a backup plan for who would take care of that puppy if you were not able to, rather than sticking it back into a shelter. Take drives or walks. Sometimes when you take walks, you can get more in touch with, that distance. You can make it smaller. You can start talking, the rhythm of walking or driving can help us get in touch with old things and process old feelings that help us start feeling closer to our significant other, because we start getting more in touch with what part of ourselves is being blocked. Why have we withdrawn emotionally? Learn a new skill. Sometimes you're so focused on something and it's so hurtful that you block down, you numb down, and in that you create a distance. If you somehow can get distracted with something you really love, some of that pain can be catharsed through whatever you're doing, and that's really helpful. I think finding new friends, many times our old friends are stuck with who we used to be. But if you find new friends who are encouraging, insightful, they may have gone through something like this. And sometimes just having the support of a friend can help you work through trust and maybe come a little bit closer to them, to talk to them. Sometimes it's really hard to talk to really close friends about something we're feeling like we're a failure at. And when we could find a new friend and talk to a new friend, that really helps. And it's a nice distraction so that we can build a relationship. We haven't lost those skills. And lastly, but certainly not the least important, is finding a therapist that you can work with. Therapists are going to get to the bottom. They're going to help uncover what's going on so that you can learn how to grow through that and share it with your partner. Emotional distancing in a long-term relationship does happen. It is not a cause for panic. However, if it lasts more than a month, then I would certainly consult a marriage therapist, because now it's complicated. And once it goes longer than a month, it just gets easier to withdraw. And soon the two of you will almost feel awkward when you do come together. You don't want that to be part of your marriage legacy.